The Baggies fans are out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the All-State Soccer Show. My name is Camila Gonzalez from TLN, and I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with a legendary player. He's the longest-serving captain of Manchester United, and he happens to be right here to give us some insights on the beautiful game, Mr. Bryan Robson. Another round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Now, Bryan, welcome to Canada. How's it going? How are you liking Toronto so far?
No, it's really good. I mean, I only flew in yesterday round about 6 o'clock. So checked into the hotel a little bit sort of tired because it was a 5 o'clock alarm call leaving England because I had to stop off at Dublin. But the flights were good and, you know, the hotel's nice enough, and then I had a sleep in this morning, so I'm fresh and ready to go.
Amazing. Now, we were chatting backstage. This is not your first time in Canada. You were here in the 80s for a game against Canada. Can you recall what that experience was like? What was it, you know, playing in Canada, playing against that team? Can you tell us your favorite memories from that time?
No, it was good because we were down in Colorado Springs with England, preparing altitude training before the World Cup down in Mexico. So we flew up to Toronto, played against Canada's national team. You know, but I didn't really get to see Toronto at that time neither. It was one of those where you just get off the airplane, you go to the hotel, have a sleep, play the match, and then you're back on the plane to go back down to Colorado Springs. You know, so the twice that I've been here so far, I haven't really seen too much.
And this trip is something similar, no? This trip, will you get a chance to see the city at all?
I'm hoping so. So tonight, I've got a bit of free time, and then tomorrow morning as well. Maybe my flight's not until something like 5 o'clock going back. So I'd like to go and see a little bit of the city this time.
Amazing. Now, Bryan, the beautiful game, soccer, has been growing in Canada exponentially over the last few years. In England, it's the most popular sport, and you happen to be one of the greatest English footballers. That is no easy feat. To what can you attribute that success? Was it your mental game? Was it agility? Was it having good coaches? What was the key part for you?
I always see it when I do soccer schools with kids or anything like that. You know, you hope that you've got the talent, but then you've got to nurture that talent, and you've got to work really hard. And I always say to kids, you don't get anything in any walk of life if you don't work hard. And so when I was doing sort of cross countries and that sort of running, I wanted to win all the time because I knew if I was really fit, it would give me a better chance to be a footballer. When some of my friends were wanting to have a beer when they were like 14, 15 and a cigarette behind the youth club, I always used to go, no, I want to be a footballer, you know, so I'm just not getting into that at this age because I want to be a footballer. You know, so it's all this, and then listening to your coaches, listening to your parents, and then if you're fortunate enough to have that bit of talent, then you've got a chance if you put all of that in place where you do work hard, you practice, you look after yourself, the way you eat, the way you drink. It's all a collective thing to try and be, you know, a top footballer.
And there's a lot of families here today. There's a lot of parents who maybe want to support their kids' dream of becoming a professional footballer. What advice would you have for the parents and how to support your kids with this dream?
I think for the parents, it's definitely, you know, support them, encourage them, but don't go over the top because, you know, you want your kids to be a professional footballer because of the amount of money that's in the game and everything now. So I think you've always got to be careful that you just encourage them and you hope they get there to be, you know, at some level and they're just enjoying themselves. Because I've seen over the years where you get parents and as soon as they get attached to a professional club, They just see pound notes in their eyes, and that's not good for the kids.
And now you did reach success that parents could dream of their kids of having. You won 2 Premier Leagues, 3 FA Cups. The list of accolades goes on and on. I'm sure there's a lot of moments you're proud of. Could you maybe talk about your proudest moment on the pitch and then your proudest moment off the pitch?
Well, no, a great moment for me playing for Manchester United. My best time in my career at Man United was 92-93, winning the Premiership title for the first time for 26 years. And it was the inaugural Premier League as well, so nobody can ever take that away from you. So that was a great achievement with that. But I've got to say, my dad as well, my mum and dad as well, were really proud when I played for England. And so to pull on the England shirt and represent your country was probably the proudest moment I had in my career.
Amazing. And now I'd like to talk more about, teammates, coaches, those important people in your career. Do you have any favorite memories or a highlight that stands out in your mind that involves your teammates and your coaches?
Yes, when I was 15-year-old and I moved to West Bromwich Albion as a kid, I've got to give you a mention, but this is true. But I don't know if you can remember, but a guy called Don Howe, who was a great coach for Arsenal, for England, but he was manager at West Brom when I first went there at 15, going on 16. And he always worked the young lads really hard. And I think that put me in good stead for the rest of my career, because he did work you really hard. Sometimes you wouldn't come off the training pitch until 1:30 and you'd start at 10. That's how hard he worked you. But he had great principles about the game and what you needed to do to be successful. And I took all that on board, and I think that helped me to come through my career. And Bryan, and I was 11 days short of my 40th birthday when I played my last game against Arsenal. So I think that shows that if you do dedicate yourself and you work really hard on your fitness, you can go on and play a longevity, within the game.
Amazing advice. Now, before we get back to the next question, I do want to remind everyone that there is a chance for fan questions. So if you have a question for Bryan in mind, there should be some mic runners around the stage for an opportunity right here. And so that will give you the opportunity as well to ask your questions either during or after we finish the Q&A chat. And so for the next question, we've talked about all the great moments, but football is an unpredictable game. There's highs, there's lows, there's a lot of challenges that you have to overcome as a player. And I think a lot of kids struggle with the mental side of football. Is there any low light that comes to mind, a hardship during your career? And maybe if you could recall what strategies you used to overcome it.
Well, with me, it was when I was at West Brom. From 19 to 21, I broke my leg 3 times. And so I more or less missed football for 2 years of football. And to me, that made me even more determined to work hard and mentally prepare myself that your career could be over. But fortunately, I had good doctors, good physiotherapists, worked hard to get back to fitness, and then my career went on from there. But I've got to say, from that 19 to 21, there's nothing worse for a footballer than looking out the window at the training ground. The lads are training, and that's what you want to do and play. And you're sitting, having treatment, going in the gym, rehabilitating by yourself. And so that's where a physio comes in really well as well, because mentally he's got to try and help you to get through that and be determined and want to keep going to get your career back online.
It could be easy to give up in those moments, no? It could be easy to get into kind of a dark patch. And I'm thinking of a lot of the kids here that maybe would get injured and feel like they're falling behind. Was there anything that helped you stay positive? Did you ever meditate, or was there anything on the mental side of things that you could give advice for kids?
Yeah, I think it's good to talk to your parents. It's good to have strong people around you who support you, know what you're going through, and just support you on that sort of side of it, of that. Don't give in. You know, you've still got plenty of time. You're only young. You've got to always keep fighting to achieve what you want to achieve. Unfortunately, I did have a strong family. Even though I was only 19, I more or less got a girlfriend who became my wife from then on. And she was very supportive. And so it is. It's very important to have strong people around you to help you through the bad times.
Amazing. And I think we've got our first fan question. So can you please say your name and feel free to ask your question?
Hi, my name's Lucas. And
Hi,
my question is, for a young Manchester United fan like me, what's some advice you can give me? Because I want to be like a pro footballer one day.
Well, you've got to work hard, dedicate yourself, you know, and enjoy. You know, a lot of people forget that if you want to be successful at something, you've got to try and enjoy it. And if you enjoy your football and you work hard and you dedicate, you know, loads of practicing, even if you haven't got mates who you can practice with on the day, you can always do something, you know, either pass the ball against the wall. How many times can you keep the ball up? Can you keep breaking records? So then your skill develops as well. But always remember to enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you, Lucas. And now we've got one more question. Please state your name and feel free to ask the question.
Hi, Bryan. My name's Baden. I'm the founder of WBA Canada. My question is about West Bromwich Albion, obviously. I was going to ask you, obviously, not only just a player for West Brom, you were the manager during the Great Escape. What was it like on that last day when so many things had to go our way? And what was your message to the players?
Honestly, it was agony for people who can't sort of remember that at this time there was 4 teams could have gone down from the Premier League, and we were bottom of the league at the time. But I said to all of my players, do not even look at the other fixtures that's going on. We have to beat Portsmouth at home. So just concentrate on your own game. And, you know, fortunately, we won 2-0. I really believed before the game that the other 3 teams would maybe get draws, but they wouldn't win. And it turned out that way, that none of them won. And so we made the Great Escape. But I've got to say, it was a fantastic moment. But I went home round about 9 o'clock in the evening, and my wife thought, oh, we're going to go out and celebrate, have a bite to eat with some of the family. I was in bed at 9:30. I was so shattered. So that's how much it had took out of me. But yeah, it was a great moment for me. Nearly as good as, you know, winning the Premiership with Manchester United. You know, it's a special moment for me, keeping the club up at that time.
All right, now before we get into the next question, I do want to ask about your time at Manchester United. You're the longest serving captain. That's a lot of pressure. What was it like managing that pressure as club captain? And then is there any advice you have for kids that are in the position of captain on how to be leaders, but maybe not succumb to that pressure?
I don't know why, but I was always, you know, right from when I started with a school team at 8-year-old, I was captain of the school team. And I'd always shout and try and encourage my teammates. You know, even at school, I was always really vocal on a football pitch. Then I always had a little bit of an aggressive side to me, even as a schoolboy, where I liked to tackle. And so I think it just brings you on that every time I played for a team at another level, everybody always made me captain. And the only time I was never really captain, West Bromwich Albion had this captain called John Weil. He's a real good, strong, old character. And I learned a lot from him as well when I came through the West Brom ranks as a kid. And so when I went to Manchester United and Ron Atkinson gave me the captaincy there, I used to just enjoy the role. And what I always thought was really important was to have a good team bond. And being captain, I thought that was my sort of duty with the squad, that we would go for golf days together, we would go for a bite to eat together, we'd go racing days together. And so you're away from the training ground, but you're getting to know each other really well when you have these bonding days. And for me, I think that's a big part of being a captain of the club, as well as having a good relationship with the manager, which I had with Sir Alex Ferguson. That you understand how he wants the team to play, and because you're closer to the players on the pitch, now you can sort of direct them if you're not doing what the manager actually says. So that's all part of being a captain.
Was it difficult sometimes dealing with some strong personalities? How did you kind of rally the team together with so many different characters?
No, well, I like strong characters, and so did Alex Ferguson, because strong characters, they have no excuses. You know, if you're not doing the right thing on a football pitch, they will have a go at you, the same as I would have a go at them. And so what you're doing, you're trying to get the best out of each other to go on and win things, because as a top player, that's what you want to do. You want to win everything. And so people like Cantona and Keane, Paul Ince, all these sort of lads, they were all strong characters, but they were all determined that they wanted to win things, and we got the best out of each other. Yeah, you know, so for me, that's a big part of it as well, being strong characters and getting the best out of each other.
Perfect. And now it's time for our next fan question. You've been waiting there patiently. Please state your name and ask Bryan your question.
Hi, my name is Leonel, and I just wanted to ask you, who do you think is the best player in the world right now?
The best player I ever played with or against? Well, I can answer both, really. The best player I played with was a lad called Paul Gascoigne Gaza. I don't know if you know him, but in 1990 to 96, I thought he was bordering on being the best player in the world. But the player who I played against at the same time, around in the 90s, was Maradona. Maradona was a great player and really difficult to play against. So, yeah, great question. But, yeah, Gazza would be the best one I played with, and Maradona the best one that I played against.
I love that your name is Lionel and he's wearing a Barca jersey. I can guess who his favorite player is. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
And we've got another question right
Only
here.
kidding.
So I'm not sure where the... Oh, perfect. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sandro. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your time. You were at United, a big transition period between Ron Atkinson and Sir Alex. So what changed with Sir Alex that, you know, we were into the 90s, early 90s, and a lot of success there?
You know, Sir Alex had obviously a lot of assets to be a great manager. One of them was man management, because we've talked about strong characters. He liked strong characters around him. He had to deal with them. But they were always good players, the lads who had a strong character. So it was that delegation, because when you're running a club as big as Manchester United, you need to have good staff who you know you can trust, and you know you delegate to them. But the one thing which people forget about with Sir Alex, his judgment on players, so his like scouting system was brilliant, because when he lost a top player, he nearly always replaced him with a top player. And so his judgment on bringing players into the club and spending money was outstanding. And it's proved that over the years. But the one thing that he did as well, when he first came in, he said that Manchester United need to get back to the Matt Busby ways of bringing kids through and the youth development of the club. And he actually achieved that, and that's why the class of 92 came through, you know, with Giggsy, Scholesy, the Nevilles, Becks, those sort of players all came through as a group. But that wasn't just luck. He worked really hard on that within the club. Yeah, you know, and that's what made United so successful in the 90s, into the 2000s.
Amazing. We've got one more question over here. What's your name?
Evan, my question is, like, when you were playing, when you would like get injured, how does it feel? Like, do you want to stand back up, or is it like you stayed back down? And how does it feel?
It doesn't feel nice, because the one thing you always want to do is to just play football, because that's what you love doing. So when you get injured and you miss playing football, you've got to realize how much you miss it. And then when you come back, you even enjoy it even more, because you don't want to miss it because of injuries. So that's it. But, you know, in my career, I used to love beating Arsenal.
Thank you. Now let's talk about some of the benefits of football. This was an important question, I know, because there's so many kids here today, and maybe sometimes the parents are like, oh, you're focusing too much on football, you're always playing after school, you know, focus on your homework. But there's a lot of great benefits for the game. So worldwide, why is it important for kids to play soccer or football, and why is it so important for the sport to keep growing?
Health-wise, mental-wise, I think there's nothing better than playing in a team sport, because you get a camaraderie with your schoolmates, or if it's a boys' club that you're playing in, you get a bond with them. So it's good for growing up and making friends, but you know, in the main, that health side goes with it as well. You know, and everybody can't. Well, I think what young lads have got to, and girls nowadays as well, what they've got to realise, there's millions and millions of kids out there who want to be a footballer, and everybody's not going to achieve that. And so that's why it's important that, yes, enjoy your sport, and enjoy what you're doing, but always look at the other side. If I don't make it at what I want to do, what is my education going to be like? So you have got to sort of concentrate on your schoolwork and try and get educated, as well as enjoying your football or whatever other sport that you're doing.
Amazing. I think that is one of the great things about soccer in Canada and North America, is that to go professional, you can go through the university route and you can continue to grow. So that is some incredible advice. And we have had the chance to hear from your fans, but I'm curious if there is a question that a lot of fans ask you whenever they meet you that maybe hasn't been asked today, that our audience would like to know.
Well, the two of the most asked questions I get when I do Q&As, or I do after dinner speaking, is what is your favorite goal? So I get asked that a lot. and then what was your favourite moment winning a competition? So those are the two, and it's like I've already said, winning the Premier League in 92, 93 for me was brilliant. And then scoring what I thought was my best goal for Manchester United against Liverpool in the semi-final of the FA Cup. We went on to win the game 2-1, and I always thought that was the best goal I scored for United. But I've still got to go back as well. One of my favourite moments is pulling on a shirt for England.
And I feel like I will know the answer for this, but Canada's going to the World Cup for the first time in 36 years. I'm curious, who do you think is winning the World Cup this year?
England. Kind of runners up. No, you know, sometimes you don't see too much of the South Americans. There's always one team from South America who will be a really good team. But in the main, you can't go past, you know, the Germans, the Spanish, the French. I think England could have a good run again. I think we've got some very good young players. It's just whether Gareth Southgate gets a good balance towards the team. But I believe that we can have another good World Cup.
Amazing. Well, Bryan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with your Canadian fans, and thank you for joining us at the All-State Soccer Show.
Thanks very much, and thank you very much for...
I lied. We have one more question. I'm so sorry. All right,
ahead.
go ahead.
Hello, sir. Welcome to Canada. My question for you is, I know in the last 3 years it's been very tough for Manchester United. What do you think is happening? And what is the reason why the up and downs from Manchester United?
Yeah, I think over the last 10 years, the recruitment policy has been pretty poor. And so we've had probably too many managers as well with backroom staff. And so there isn't a strong balance in the background where the players can rely on what they're going to have to do. So there's been too many changes. I think that will change now because the new CEO, Richard Arnold, he's brought in Ten Hag. I think he'll give him time, he'll give him support. But we've got a long way to go to get back up to, you know, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools. We've got a lot of hard work, but everybody at the club knows that. But I think Richard Arnold is the right man to be in charge, and Ten Hag, I've been impressed with him on the training ground and how he puts over to the players what he wants. So hopefully I'm proved right.
And we will let you get your second round of applause soon, but we do have a few more virtual questions. There are some people that are watching online and would like to ask you a question.
So the first question here is, if you were to go back in time and play pro in any other sport, what would it be?
I'd like to think I could have been a great golfer.
Okay, so this question is from Emma, and Emma says, I'm a Canadian boy that plays football since I was young at an academy. Is there any pathway that can get to the Premier League in the UK, or anything that I can get me to the next level?
Well, you know, the scouts at Manchester United, and I know a lot of clubs in the Premier League have scouts all over the world. And so you hope that you get to a certain level and those scouts have spotted you playing and they quite like you. And then you get an invitation to go to England, maybe have a trial or even take you on board straight away. But all you can do is just keep trying your hardest, and you hope that one of these scouts somewhere in the world does pick you up and takes you into the Premier League. But there's no there's no special way or magic wand where somebody from a Premier League club will just come and say, you know, come in. You've got to go through the scouting system.
Perfect. And I think we have one more question left online. One more question in person.
Hi, Bryan. I'm Mingzhen. So how long do you expect Manchester United to be back on the top class? Like, we have been like 10 years since Alex Ferguson.
Well, you know, with some of the players that we've bought in the summer, for Ten Hag to get the way he wants to play and get that over to the players, I would like to think that we get to next summer and we make a few good signings to go with the squad of players that we've got. And then hopefully next year we can be up there challenging, because I know it was a really bad result for us again today, but I do believe that we are improving. City, I think, will definitely go on and win the title again this year. They're such a good team, and Haaland's been an unbelievable signing for them. So I think that'll happen. But, you know, United are always going to be in there challenging for the best players, and that's all you can keep doing. You know, just keep building, trying your best to make sure that we compete against the top teams next year.
All right, thank you. And our last question of the day.
Hi, Bryan. I just wanted to know, how did you find the transition from player to player manager? So from having your pals to becoming the manager and being the boss, and also what you think of players now going straight into big managerial roles without much experience as managers.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite fortunate because I went to Middlesbrough and I went in as player manager. So I had some good backroom staff around me, and I said to them, for them to concentrate on the training. Obviously, I had an input, but because I was playing still, I was concentrating on my playing side, then select the team and what formation we were going to play. But yeah, I think in today's game, you know, it's very difficult to do that now because of the pressure that's on your. You know, the teams are getting that a little bit better. I mean, when I went to Middlesbrough, what we did, we didn't get beat for the first 7 games. We won 6 and drew 1. So we were top of the league straight away. And then the players believed in me. And so that made it a bit easier. The managers today, yeah, sometimes they go in, you know, people like Stevie Gerrard, Frank Lampard, but the one thing that they do have to do, they've got to get the badges, and you know, they've got to get up to the pro license course before they can get a top job now, which I think's right, because you get lads who've played at the lower level, they've got to do all the badges and, you know, prove themselves before they get a managerial job, and so it should be the same for top players as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Again, this chat was thanks to Kohler Company, who is a global partner of Manchester United. So thanks to them, we could be here with Bryan. Thank you for joining us. Again, another warm round of applause for Bryan Robson.
Thank you very much. Thank you.